Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar.
Welcome back to another episode of Easy Dubs. This is going to be MLB edition, focus on early season baseball with a couple of great cappers. We got Jason Radowitz. You can find him on Twitter at Jason_Radowitz. And Viggy from Viggy Bets at Viggy Bets on Twitter. These guys are pros. They're the experts on baseball. I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions about, what this upcoming season looked like, especially after kind of a weird off season, and hope we can get some good perspective. So welcome on, guys.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. The baseball season, it began. Took a little bit of time to begin, but we are here now. And so I got all my 5 TVs to the left of me watching all the games while I'm talking on the podcast. So it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Appreciate you having me on as always. I think this is the second time we've gotten together on a show. So since I've joined up with you guys, so always a pleasure.
Yeah, no, I think what DubClub is about is bringing the community together and letting you guys meet each other, interact, and bounce ideas off each other. Let's just start off the top. I want to hear kind of about your guys' different approaches to MLB betting. What are your favorite bets to make during the season, and what kind of bets do you stay away from? Jason, take it on.
Yeah, so when I first started betting on baseball, I kind of went all over the place. I was just kind of like, the normal sports bettor that just wants to kind of attack every single spot in every single game and just try to find ways to attack when it comes to first fives and full games, overs, money lines, spreads. I mean, it didn't matter. I just wanted to find, even player props too, I would just try to find every single way to get action and find an edge on a bet. And for me, that really didn't work out in my favor. Eventually, you win some there, you lose some here, and you can't really solely focus on one area for in that certain league or whatever. So eventually, a couple of years ago, I kind of figured out that it would be better just to kind of find your own niche in that sport. So not only are you really good at baseball, but now you're really good at betting baseball money lines, and so you only stick to money lines or you only stick to over-unders. And what that does, it limits your time of research, because if you're trying to research player props and over-unders and money lines and run lines, trying to do all that, you're not going to have enough time in the day to be able to do that. And all that research is going to kind of go all over the place, and you won't know what your favorite bet is because you have so many. You have your favorite spread bet and your money line bet. And so eventually I kind of just found out that I was really good at first 5 over on the team totals. And so that's what I've been doing recently in the last year. I've been betting on first 5 team total overs. And so basically, I'm trying to fade some really bad pitchers. And I'm saying, all right, I'm going to bet the over 2.5 on a really good team to go up against a really bad pitcher. And there's a minimal chance of that really bad pitcher to have a quality start against this really good offense. And so if I can get over 2.5 against a really bad team with a really good offense, I'm very confident that I can get 3 runs in 5 innings against that bad pitcher when the lefty-righty matchups all kind of make sense and the weather makes sense, and of course ballpark and all that kind of stuff comes into it. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to attack really bad pitchers with really good offenses, and I'm saying that bad pitcher can't get enough outs and it will allow 3 or more runs in the first 5 innings and probably won't get a quality start. Obviously, a quality start is 6 innings, but for this, we're going 5 innings as a quality start in my metrics, for example. But I'm saying, there's no chance that this pitcher can pitch a quality start against this really good offense. And so, for example, today I had one bet already today that already cashed for me, and I just do one play a day. I don't do anything more than that. But I had the Twins over 2.5 in the first 5 on the team total against the Red Sox. Pivetta, he went 2 innings, allowed those 4 runs, and it was over then, and we got the cash. And so I know a lot of people like adrenaline rushes and the nerfies and the yes run first innings, but this is also another way where you can get that adrenaline rush, but also have stats to back it up. And so for me, that's what I've been attacking in baseball. And also I just do one play a day.
That's an awesome perspective. Biggie, I know you got something a little different, so let's hear your approach.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I never thought about the kind of F5 in terms of team total because I really, when I look at team totals and I look at the whole game, I don't see a lot of value out there, especially for the top offenses. So I've always kind of stayed away from that because I never felt like I got the right value. But that's interesting. I'm going to look into that further. But for me, again, kind of similar to Jason, I created my Twitter account last April, so April of 2021. So just over a year into it. And again, it was, I was all over the place. I was making parlays. I was doing, this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I was kind of all screwed up. And I got rid of the parlays because I started out well, but then when you kind of lose it, then, the buzz goes away. So I rebranded myself instead of the Viggy Parlay. I rebranded myself into Viggy Bets. So along came with that were the single bets, right? Just placing singular bets on any given night to try to cash and to make profits that way. Where I found my niche was the NRFI specifically. I got into YRFI a little bit later into the season. I had to adapt at a certain point in the summertime, but the NRFIs for me are really where Twitter goes crazy for, man. I'll tell you, it is insane how Twitter eats up NRFIs, and that, I kind of saw that early on, and I said, this is what I'm gonna specialize in. This is what I'm gonna focus in on. This is how I'm gonna get better. This is how I'm gonna create my following, and I got into it, and I swear, within the first the 6-month season, I had easily 6,000 followers. I was averaging easily 1,000 followers a month just doing NRFIs. Of course, the key is winning them. You want to win all the bets that you do, or most of them. To be honest with you, I was struggling a little bit, come the first half of the season. I'm trying to find my way of betting them. There's, betting them on a feel, or there's betting them with legitimate research and backing up how you're going about your play. So really, I took the All-Star break last year and said, how can I really hone in on betting NRFIs? What is the secret? So I looked at all the stats that I, thought were important, first inning stats, ERA, home and away, a bunch of different, I'm not going to name them all, but a lot of different stats relating to pitchers, and said, I'm going to put this all in a formula and put them all together, come out with a grading system, and say, I need both pitchers to grade at least a 7 out of 10 for this to be an NRFI. And on the flip side, for a YRFI, because that's just important, Twitter eats up the YRFIs as well, I need the grading system for both pitchers to be at least a 4 out of 10. So in my grading system, between all the stats, if we have both pitchers accumulate a 7 out of 10 or above, I got an NRFI. It doesn't matter where the game is played. It doesn't matter what the weather temperature is. And frankly, it doesn't matter what the opposing lineups are either. I trust what the pitchers are going to bring to the table. That is what I can control. I can't control the weather. I can't control what the manager is going to put out there in terms of their lineup or who's going to play, who's not going to play. What I control is what I expect and how I expect the pitcher to perform in that first inning. So for me, that's how I put all my grading system together. So I get an NRFI, I get a YRFI, or I just get nothing. And sometimes with my chart, it's not about what you play, it's what not you play at the same time.
No, I think that's really important because there's a lot of us out there that are just like, I want to put a bet on, every game going on just because I'm watching them all. And there's something about it. I think both of you kind of hit on it, that it's not as important to bet on everything. It's to bet on things that are smart, and stay away from the ones that that you don't know anything about, or that you're having trouble reading. So I think that's a really important perspective as well, that I think both of you guys hit on. I think one of the things you guys both talked about too, Viggy, you hit on it a little bit more, but Jason, you definitely touched on it, is pitchers. I think when we think of baseball, it's obviously pitcher, hitter. Maybe defense doesn't factor into it as much, but especially when I think of a team like the Giants, who the lineup is rotating, daily. I was talking to my mom a couple of days ago, and she said she went to the game and she didn't see Jock playing, she didn't see Crawford playing, she didn't see Belt playing, and she's like, "What's going on?" And all I had to do was look it up and say, "Well, it's a lefty," and that makes a big difference. So. What do you think it is about pitchers versus hitters? Is it just more the consistency of the pitchers, or something of the inconsistency with the hitters? Where why is it that pitchers are so important in terms of how you guys are betting these games?
Yeah, so lefty righty matchups are obviously really crucial in baseball. That's why they have lefties come in for lefties and righties pitch against righties and whatnot. So for me, yeah, those stats, lefty righty matchups are huge when it comes to betting team totals for me. Look, I'm looking at runs. I want runs. So if I'm seeing a left-handed pitcher pitching and there's 9 righties in the lineup and 7 of them have already have had career success against a left-handed pitcher, then I'm onto something. I can look into it a little bit deeper. So, like for example, the Angels are pitching Reed Detmers today, and you look at this Rangers lineup, and they've got 8 righties in the lineup, and then the one lefty would be Seager, who actually isn't too bad against lefties to begin with.
Not at all.
And so,
yeah.
Right. So you look at that, and you're like, all right, well, Texas might have a good outing against Detmers because Detmers has struggled recently. Now I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't think that they've done anything yet. But Detmer is obviously a top prospect in the MLB, so he should be a lot better than I think he was last season. So those stats might not be exactly what to expect out of Detmers, for example. But what the reality is, yeah, the lefty righty matchups are crucial. I don't want to jinx anything, so I'm going to be quiet.
I'm just I'm in a dynasty league, and I'm in a dynasty baseball league, and I have Detmers going for me tonight. So
Yeah.
I need a good outing.
Fair.
3 Ks and inning in the third so far.
Yeah, he's a beast. I think it'll be good. So, but that's just one of the examples because I was trying to find a ton of righties going up against a lefty, and that's what you want to look at. And so, for me, I look at a lot of different, kind of advanced metrics. I won't get into it, very deeply, and you could obviously research and see what these are all about. But I look at ISO power numbers, weighted on base averages, strikeout percentages, walk percentages, ground ball percentages, line drive percentages, fly ball percentages. I mean, the list goes on. Hard contact percentages, all of that kind of stuff I'm looking at. And when all of it comes together, then I'm like, all right, that's a really good bet. And so, for example, I'll make it really quick, but for today, I had a bet against Pavetta, and I took the Minnesota Twins over 2.5 in the first 5 on the team total. Well, if you look at their lineup, it had a combined ISO power number of 216 and a weighted on-base average of 331. A average ISO power number for a single team is about 175. Well, if you look at the Twins, they had a 216 ISO, from dating back to last season and into the season, combining the two as a projected lineup. So I know Buxton got hurt, but he had a 359 ISO, which is massive and huge. Correa, Polanco, Kepler, Sano, Jeffers, all with high ISO numbers. And what do you know? Sano, a 288 ISO and 351 plate appearances, hit an absolute bomb to help hit the over on the team total. And that was his first hit of the entire season. But I thought right there against the righty, a 288 ISO. And yeah, and he rarely hits ground balls. And so that just made a lot of sense right there. And so stats analytics for me, it's not going to work out every single time, but throughout the entire season, you're going to see results when you're looking at when you stay with a system. Like Viggy said, if you stay with the system, you do it throughout the entire season, you'll see results, and things will play out. Some you'll have like 30 games that won't play out how you expect. 30 games that like destroy your expectation. The middle is what matters the most, and when you have the stats to back it up, the middle is going to produce more than lose. So that's my thoughts there.
And I'm a bit more basic when it comes to the stats. I mean, for me, from a pitcher standpoint, I want to make sure they have a certain walks per 9 or below, a certain K per 9 or above. Home runs per 9 when capping NRFIs is probably the most important stat, home runs per 9, because you say you give up 1 home run, the jig is over, the jig's up, the bet's over. Unless you catch the YRFI, then you win. But when you're betting the NRFI, 1 home run, you're done. So, the home runs per 9 is, to me, probably the most important stat to look at when you look at when you're capping an NRFI, when you're looking at a specific starting pitcher. If they're giving up 2 home runs per 9 innings, and you got to think they're not pitching 9 innings every single start. They're probably pitching 5, maybe 6. So there's a chance he could give up potentially 2 home runs in this start. And you don't want that to be in the first inning. You want guys that are dependable, reliable, that you can trust going up against the top hitters. Think about it. Your pitcher is going up against the top hitters in their lineup in that bet. So.
No, I think your guys is different. Kind of, again, you're talking about the stats, and Jason maybe is looking a little bit more into some of those percentages, those weighted percentages, where again you're looking at more of that. Where's this pitcher stand, and I think that's obviously very important to why you guys are successful in the bets that you're putting out. I think Viggy, if you were to hit on more of those ISO percentages and some of the different things going into that, again, maybe that translates more to the full game and the total in 5 and, betting team overs. But for the NRFI, you're looking at, it really matters. Is this guy good in the first inning? Does he limit the home run ball? Is he striking guys out? And, is he keeping guys off base? Is he, making everything kind of pretty easy in the first inning, or does he make things difficult? So I think it was really interesting. I wasn't sure, how your 2 different perspectives were going to kind of overlap or correlate, but it seems like you guys, honestly, in terms of the baseball world, it's kind of cool to see how you guys take very different approaches, and yet you come to the same conclusion and you're getting a lot of wins, which, is what our subscribers like. And that's what we want. We want to be making money, right? One of the other things that I think you guys hit on a little bit earlier was ballparks and weather. And baseball, it's the only sport, maybe outside golf, but that's different, that where the ballparks are so different. You're not facing the same. A football field is 100 yards. Basketball court, standard dimensions. But in baseball, you're seeing how these different ballparks are changing. They change every year. I keep talking about the Giants, but Oracle Park, they moved the fences in, and it's become a much more hitter-friendly park than it used to be. So when we talk about ballparks, and then if we talk about weather, of course, as well, because not all of these stadiums are indoors. How much do you guys factor in ballparks into kind of the bets that you're making? Viggy, maybe more so. If it's a hitter's ballpark, are you thinking that's more of a YRFI, or if it's a pitcher's ballpark, is it more of an NRFI? I just think ballparks are such an interesting thing because of how different they are, throughout the league.
There's a couple.
You want to start?
I was just going to say there's a couple ballparks for me that scare the crap out of me with NRFIs. One of them being Fenway, because easily it's not like you could easily just hit a ball off the green monster, and the ball could go anywhere and everywhere. The fielder might not be able to, he's maybe never played there before, has no idea how to field it off the green monster, and a double turns into a triple, or we could have seen what we did see yesterday in Tampa Bay with a Little League home run with Christian Pache. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. That could happen anywhere, but especially at Fenway, that scares the crap out of me. And I don't handicap ballparks. It's not a part of my chart, but I do look at it and say, I usually don't play NRFIs in Boston. Yankee Stadium scares me a little bit as well with the short porch and right field. I mean, you can really just literally hit it, 300 feet or 310, and it's a home run for a left-handed hitter. So, there are ballparks that scare me more than others. It's not, like I said, it's not in my chart or grading system to handicap a ballpark, but it's something I definitely pay attention to.
Yeah, so for me, I'm a big over guy, right, in team total. So I love when it's hot out. I love when there's humidity. I love when there's 10 miles per hour winds blowing out to the outfield. So all that matters to me, 100%. Obviously, I don't want to see any rain. I'd obviously like the temperature to be hot. That always helps a little bit. And so, wind, temperature, humidity, I look at that for my team total overs. It's not really the deciding factor, but like if I see 2 plays that I really like and one site has like 15 miles per hour winds blowing out, and it's 90 degrees out there. Humidity is pretty good, and I would probably side more towards that game. So I'm not really sure the ballparks really matter to me. Obviously, like, do I really want to bet an Oakland game when I'm looking for an over? Not really. That's usually hard to score runs at Oakland because the field is so big. So yeah, I look at I look at like different pitchers' ballparks, and I get a little bit scared. But overall, if I can know that a team is going to hit a lot of line drives, they're going to limit the ground balls. They're going to hit high ISO power numbers, and they're not going to strike out very often, and there's some speed on the base pass and all those things. I don't really worry about too much about what the ballpark is. But overall, yeah, I'm really worried about the weather. When humidity, the temperature, that when it gets to the summer is really crucial and really fun to start betting those because the ball starts flying out of the ballpark.
Oh, don't we love to see home runs?
And I was going to say one of my other favorite bets to do is on the prop side. I love the total bases. But the only thing that irks me about total bases is that everybody I know listening to this right now is going to agree with me. Why are not walks considered for total bases? It's just unbelievable to me. You earn that walk. A walk should be, as we always say, a walk is as good as a hit. Why is it not for total bases? But anyway, I love the total base props. I mean, I look at different hitters going up against different pitchers and what they've done in their careers, but also combine how they're doing lately. So you could look at it and say, well, here I got a bet for Jose Altuve going up tonight against Marco Gonzalez. I like that a lot. That's one of my total base props for today. I cashed one earlier today. Starlin Marte of the New York Mets absolutely had a bazonker of a game. First home run of the season. I think he had 3 hits overall. That was one on my list as well. Cashed Aaron Judge late last night, getting a double in the 8th inning. That was huge as well. So I really look at, how they fare, how specific hitters fare against an opposing pitcher, but also couple it with how they're doing overall, because they're not going to face that pitcher in every single at-bat the entire game more than likely. So they're going to see a couple relievers potentially as well. So I'm looking at it from the standpoint as well. This guy's hitting 400, career off this starting pitcher, but how are they hitting overall? Because I need to know if they're hitting well overall, they should be able to attack a reliever very well too. If they get to the point late in the game where they still need to cash the bet. So total bets is one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, I as we're on the topic of kind of more, you're talking about player props. One of the things that I love about honestly every sport is I like throwing in futures, just little money bets on futures, because I think they're kind of fun and it allows you to kind of stay engaged throughout the season. There's the ups and downs, but I want to talk about players specifically. Again, maybe you guys don't look at futures as being very profitable or having much value, but it's kind of taking a little step away from maybe the betting side, maybe just talking more about the baseball side. Do you guys see any guys that maybe could be dark horses for the MVP this year that you maybe have tossed a future on, or just are thinking about kind of in terms of for the outlook of the season, who a couple of guys could be that might step it up this year more so than in the past?
You want to go or you want me to go?
You start. Go ahead.
You want me to start? Yeah. So for me, futures are not my expertise at all. I don't like the idea of having money just being held for an entire season. And of course, in the MLB, right, it's a long ass season, so that's never really fun at all. And obviously, your chances of winning are really slim. And you could have some fun betting on futures, and it's great to be engaged. But I'm sure Viggy and I, we're engaged every day betting on sports anyway, so we don't need that adrenaline rush because we literally have it every single day. So there's always something new to bet every single day, and a new team to root for every single day, and a new player to root for every day, and so that makes it a little bit more fun anyway. So yeah, I don't think that futures are really necessary for sports bettors, and obviously there's a lot of hold on those bets, so it's really not a profitable bet most of the time at a sports book. But if I had to choose a dark horse MVP, I think Asaya Suzuki could be an interesting option for the Cubs. Obviously started the season red hot, and we saw what Ohtani already did. So, Suzuki is pretty impressive, although he did have a blunder in the outfield and in the field yesterday against the Rockies. So things need to clear up there. But overall, he does have a nice bat, and I think the Cubs are a little bit underrated this year. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, for me, I'll give you one in each league. I'm a big fan of, we all know about Wander Franco, what he can do. And he's still really young, but I feel like he can be a big-time MVP candidate. Let's see, how he's done so far this year. He's done really well. So have the Rays. The Rays have gotten off to a great start this season. Also, I'll give you the National League one, and I'm maybe a little biased here on this one, but I think this is the year that we really look at it and say Austin Riley is a big-time dark horse MVP candidate for my Bravos coming off the World Championship last year. We're off to a little bit of a slow start, but Austin Riley is not. So he, I believe, has 3 home runs already this season. Acuna is going to be coming back here in the next couple weeks or so. That's only going to make that lineup better. It's going to give Austin Riley more chances to drive in runs. So I think, this is Austin Riley's year to show that, he's an MVP candidate.
Yeah, no, I think those are a couple of guys that, it's sometimes just looking under the radar and, looking outside of, Mike Trout on a healthy season or Shohei repeating again, or, I think a lot of people love Juan Soto and, his prospects of, being an MVP soon enough, just because the guy can absolutely mash, or even a guy like Trey Turner. But, again, there's so many options in terms of just, it's fun, I think, even just offering up a couple of guys in terms of, maybe you're not throwing futures on them, but you could be looking at them for a lot of player props throughout the season. So, you're looking at guys that you like and seeing what they can do. I think it was funny that Jason mentioned Seiya Suzuki. I was in Japan a couple of years ago, and we went into a Hiroshima carp store, and my brother ended up buying a jersey, and it just happened to have Suzuki on the back. And so he's been rocking that all over the place because it's like the guy's made it to the bigs. It's so cool. It's so cool. I'm very jealous of him. I got some random guy. So, but he's again, a young guy, but not as young as some of these other rookies. And he's got the ability to
better, to be honest with you.
He's got that experience, right?
And
for sure.
My number one draft pick for this season, like we have in our Dynasty League, you can keep every player that you want, but if you, decide not to keep a couple spots, you get, the selection of the draft pool of who is coming in, who's whatnot. Suzuki was my first overall pick, so happy to have him on the team. He's a beast. 3 home runs to start the season. He could be an MVP candidate, especially if the Cubs surprise a little bit this year, which it's the NL Central, you never know, but Suzuki's a beast. We know that.
Yeah, well, and we've seen a couple of those Japanese players really translate pretty quickly. Sometimes there's kind of a year in between, when they start hitting it, but as we've seen with Suzuki, he's off to a hot start.
He single-handedly destroyed one of my NRFIs as well last Sunday. There were 2 on, but there were also 2 out in the bottom of the first inning, and he goes yard for a 3-run homer, which I was greatly happy about for my fantasy team. But I'm like, you could have started 0 for 1 and done that later, man. Come on. But
yeah, just fly out, or maybe walk. Come on. Well, I don't want to keep you guys for too long. If there's any last thoughts, I'd love to hear if you guys had anything else you wanted to add. Just in general, I feel like we covered some good topics. I think a lot of people are going to find some value in seeing how you guys take very different bets, and maybe we'll get a couple of guys subscribing to both of you just because of your different perspectives on baseball, and we know how much people just will eat up baseball. It's America's pastime still, right? So Jason, if you got any final thoughts, shoot them at me, and then Biggie, go ahead.
Yeah, so just want to point out, like, it's really early in the season, so if you're trying to cap and things aren't going your way yet, you can still adjust and figure it out. Don't go crazy. It's still a long season ahead. So I guess that's my main thing. Just telling you guys to just take it, day by day. Don't, get mad or stop betting because, you've had a bad week or two. Adjust, look at, track your wagers, track what you're losing, what you're winning, figure out, what's working, what's not, and just keep attacking, keep attacking, keep attacking. Not saying spend all your money, but what I am saying, just keep attacking, and don't take the first 2 weeks, and just end it because you've had a bad 2 weeks. Because the reality is, once we get more stats and more information on this season, it gets a little bit easier. Right now, we're basically using last year's stats, and so guys improve and guys get worse, and because of the lockout, also guys have struggled to kind of warm up just to start off the season. So take it slow, don't go crazy, keep going, keep grinding, and if you continue on with your process, you will see results in the long run.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with all those sentiments. I would just say, again, thank you for having me on. It was great, meeting you, Jason, as well. I feel like we've, both probably seen a huge bump in our subscription base and whatnot, especially since the baseball season started. I know I have. NRFIs, YRFIs combined 11 and 6 to start the season. That's, I believe, a 64.5% clip. We're doing really well with the props as well. Also put in some money line and run lines from time to time. I'm definitely going to try out the team total F5s.
Yeah,
I'm really intrigued about that as well, and we'll probably research that a little bit more and then potentially put that out for my subscribers as well. I don't know what else to say. Viggy Bets on Twitter. Let's keep cashing, and it's going to be a fun season.
Sure. Yeah, no, I loved having you guys on. You guys were fabulous, and I think it was really nice to see kind of different strategies to it, because I've been doing a couple of golf podcasts, and sometimes there's a little bit less that goes into maybe some of the strategy of how you're betting games and versus how you're betting tournaments. So I think it was really cool, and I'm going to be hammering you guys over the next couple of months because I absolutely love baseball, and I can't get enough of it, especially when it comes to the Giants. I know, Vicky, you look like you're the same way with your Bravos, but this was an awesome podcast. I love having you guys on. Again, you can find Jason Radowitz on Twitter at Jason_Radowitz, and Viggy as well at Viggy Bets, just like he said. Guys, this was fabulous. Thank you so much for coming on, and I will definitely be getting you on maybe after the All-Star break or something, leading up into maybe a time when we have a little bit more stats from this season to back up some of what you're talking about. But all I know is you guys are on fire, and we love what you guys are doing, and we love what you brought to DubClub and our little community over here. And the more that we can grow together, the more that we're gonna find profit for you guys, find profit for us, and find profit for our subscribers. So thanks again, guys, and hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Much appreciated.